What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Hi, co-reporters. Hi, newbies. Guys, it looks a little different back here because I am currently in a hotel. I am on Christmas holidays, New Year's holidays. I am in a hotel in Malta right now, so excuse me for any lagging or anything that happens, but listen, the show must go on, and we've got friends to the channels back here again. We've got Tisa Tells, Up and Adam, and Lailah Lynn TV ready to take down episode 4 of Porsha's Family Matters. Hey, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. Yay, hey. So you guys, real quick, going around from Tisa, Lailah to Adam, what would you rate last night's episode of Porsha's Family Matters on a scale of 1 to 10? And for you guys in the chat as well, let us know. So Tisa, let's start with you.
Okay, so honestly, I rate this episode a 6.5. I know I'm like, ooh, I love the mess, but it's getting at this point a little tiring. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna keep reviewing it, and it's funny, but it's almost like watching, like, what is it, the Hindenburg, the hot air balloon that went down, where I'm literally watching someone's PR image be completely annihilated by their own hands. And I'm just like, wow, this, and just from I guess a behind the scenes business, it's just so fascinating how someone can truly tear themselves apart and just have no idea. So at this point, this is a case study. It's a case study, a cautionary tale.
For psych fanatics. What about you, Lailah?
I would give it like a 9 because I was very entertained. I was very entertained last night. I was literally laughing out loud. And normally when I watch this show, I might giggle to myself. But Miss Darlene talking about her feet having that connection, I was literally laughing out loud. So I loved it. I was very entertained. That's all I asked for, is to be entertained. And I loved it.
Nice. Adam?
I think I'm going to probably give it a 7.675. And this is why. I always have to give it I listen, I'm conflicted here. I love the drama. And then when, her aunt stood up and she started talking about her feet, and we thought it was about to be an emotional, real moment, which maybe to her it was. We were all like, excuse me, what's going on? So also her other family member, I forgot her name. Please don't kill me, guys. But calling out the fact that it wasn't all family at the table. What is her name?
Oh, what's her name?
Liz.
Okay,
Liz.
Aunt Liz, yes. And, watching all of that, that was comedic relief. But there's something about Porsha, and maybe Tisa's right. Maybe she's kind of just like ruining her own image with this show. But the way she's acting on the show and wanting her cake and to eat it too, or whatever that saying is, it's really off-putting. It makes you kind of cringe watching the show. So I'm still conflicted. But I'm never where Lailah was, where she was just like, this is trash TV, but I committed to this panel, so I'm going to watch it.
I still think it's trash, but I was entertained by the trash this week. I was entertained.
Exactly. You know what? I feel like I share the same sentiments with all of you. That's why it's so hard for me to give it a number. It's like I see the 6 of Tisa, I see the 9 of Lailah, and I see the 7.6 blah, blah, blah of Adam. So maybe I'll go somewhere and put it like an 8 just so we have it like, because again, like all of those moments that you guys mentioned, like the down part was that Porsha is still kind of, playing the victim or this or that. Then what's the crazy aunt's name? Like, Jesus, a hug.
What's that?
Darlene.
Darlene.
Yeah.
Oh, Aunt Darlene and her daughter, they are a hot mess, but I'm here for them.
I loved it. And then you guys, I really want to tackle as well the dynamic between Porsha and Lauren, because I saw something in last night's episode that looked like a really big crack in the vase. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to get to it, Lailah. Don't you worry. I will point it out. Just real quick, we got a super chat right off the bat. Thank you so much to M Slade B for this super chat. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and supporting the panel. So you guys, first of all, just to back things up, I don't know if you guys are aware in the chat or anything like that, but they're still filming this show, you guys. Like at first they were like, it's going to be like 3-4 episodes, like a one-off or whatever. But Porsha went online to kind of like, preemptively talk about what it is that Denis allegedly said about her while they were filming. Apparently he intimated that she was a bad mother or that she wasn't putting their daughter Pilar first. And then she clarifies in the comments that she just shot a scene with Denis about a week ago, and we all know she's not doing RHOA. So it looks like they are still moving along with the series. I just wanted to put that out there before we get into it. So now in the first scene of the episode, we get Aunt Darlene talking about her feet. What was this about? Like, what prompted this, you guys? What did you think of this scene?
Well,
Aunt Darlene reminds me of my like drunk aunt at like a Thanksgiving dinner who's going to stand up and make a toast, and we all are like, oh, she's finally saying something meaningful. And then she comes out with the feet. She had me laughing. It was the only time I think I've seen Jason laugh during this whole season or special. Sorry.
Me too. I found her so funny. You know, like she just started right off the bat with that. Like, what, you guys? Is that like the first time we really heard her talk throughout this special, by the way?
I feel like it might be. We had that scene when she was packing with her daughter and she told her daughter, I want to spend more time with you. But I feel like this is one of the first times we really heard her say something. And that's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
You know, oh, sorry, Tisa.
No, I was just going to say, I think it also might be editing too, because Denis posted something on Instagram. It was either a post or a story where he showed some like archaic duck feet, and he said live footage of Aunt Darlene's feet. So he was throwing shade. So I think her standing up and being like, by the way, my feet are beautiful. Maybe he zoomed in on her toes and was like, what are those? And she had to defend her beautiful feet on her, because it was just like, why are we talking about your feet and why are they beautiful?
And he really was looking, you guys. When she was doing her speech, she's like, listen, I had to take a look at them and see what was going on. And they looked all right to me.
Do you guys though get the vibe? And I know this isn't about, you know, Aunt Darlene, but her daughter, for some reason, watching her daughter, you know how like sometimes we get people on reality shows and they're just such an easy fit. Like you see them, they're open about their life, and they really do seem like the cameras, they don't even know that they're there. And then we get some people who know the cameras are there and they try to give us a moment every time they're filming. I feel like Porsha's cousin Storm is doing that. I feel like she's trying so hard to be like a baby Porsha. And I think Denis hit the nail on the head with her outburst and like trying to get the attention over to her and then always having a problem with everything that's happening. I don't know. Is that just me?
No, I agree with you. I think she wants like a show. I think she wants us to be like a real spinoff show. Like she wants to be a cast member on a reality show, like a real series.
Right. Mm-hmm. I agree. I just don't like seeing, like, I'm all here for it. If you can bring the ratings, amazing. But when I feel like you're trying to manipulate the situation and the producers and the cameras and trying to make a moment out of everything, I'm like, yeah, good on you.
But you know, she posted on her story last night, and then I guess I was the only one to screenshot it and then deleted it 20 minutes later about that old thing. You guys don't understand. We were filming for 6 hours. It's cut down to 30 seconds to 1 minute. Reality TV is unfair. So part of it is the fact of, I think she wanted a moment, but like, again, I've seen behind the scenes of reality TV. I don't think people realize how much everything can be manipulated, no matter how authentic the reality TV looks. So again, she's looking at herself standing up, acting a hot fool, but it's like, yeah, you did cut out the argument that had been going on for like 2 hours and just made it seem like Lottie just dismissed her. So I understand the SARM, but I also think she's having that little meltdown that everybody gets on reality TV has, you know, even posting that, you don't understand, it's so unfair, and then deleting it 20 minutes later. So
first of all, I love that you screenshotted that, but also just to piggyback off of that, I have a situation where my friend Sheena, who is on Vanderpump Rules, one of the editors got fired because she went on a podcast and she was so openly like, I edit her to look like a boy crazy bimbo. And Sheena was like, wait a minute. And when I had this conversation with Sheena, I was like, well, Sheena, you control how you're portraying yourself, and then they get to take whatever you give them and edit it. So if you do have moments where you look like you're boy crazy or like, oh, woe is me, they're going to play off of that and build you up into that character. And then that will be who you are forever on reality TV, like when we get our villains and everything else. And I don't know. I think it's so silly when these people who go on reality TV, they're like, oh, it's editing and you guys don't understand. It's so unfair. It's like, nobody made you sign the contract. You signed the contract.
Learn to play the game better, because at this point, this is not the Real World season 1 or 2, which, by the way, have you guys seen 20 something? It's like old school reality TV. It's so good. But this isn't Real World 22. What is it? I don't even know when it came out. But like your point, everybody that signs up for reality TV at this point knows they are going to make a fool of you. They're going to try to put you in messy situations. And it's up to you to stay ahead of the ball and use it for what you can. So, yeah, at this point, I don't know.
Take the ball.
Oh my God. Do you guys hear me okay? Is my thing still working?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because Tisa, I barely heard you. I was like, I don't know if it's me. Is it Tisa? Is everything okay on both ends?
No, we heard both of you, I think, Lailah.
Yeah. I hear all of you.
No.
You still hear
Okay,
me?
okay, good.
Well, do you
So yes, it is true. You do have to learn to play the game because like with normal like life and friendships and relationships, not everybody likes you, but nobody has the power over you the way a producer of a reality show does. So yeah, like you do have to be a lot more calculated. And so when it comes to that, do you guys think it's smart for Storm and her mom to let their relationship drama play out on this show?
Not at all. Because I feel like they have some deep issues. Like they really need some serious help. And I don't feel like you can get that on reality TV. Like filming those scenes. And even if you're doing like therapy on reality TV, it's not real. And I don't think it will really help you. And more than likely is going to make it worse.
Mm-hmm.
I love how you guys all in unison. I'm kind of split on this. I agree with Lailah, but I've also in my interviews before, I've heard people who do reality TV say that, there's nothing better like a reality check than being on a reality show because it mirrors you and it shows you those ugly moments where you're like, maybe I should change this about myself. So I agree with Lailah. This could either make things worse or it could help them work through some of these problems. However, you're no longer doing it privately. And now everyone in the world is going to have an opinion saying you're a bad mom. You're, a really bad daughter. You're ignorant. You shouldn't talk to her this way. Like everyone will have an opinion, good or bad. So if you can't handle that, like I couldn't handle it. That's why I didn't go on a reality show.
Yeah.
Good point.
But there's also a thing with reality. I agree with all you guys, but there's also something with the reality shows is I feel like if somebody followed me around 24 hours, I could be as sweet as sunshine. And then the day, like I go into Taco Bell and they're out of like the cheesy burritos and I'm like, what the hell? Right? They'd be like, she's insane. Like, what's wrong with her? She's flipping out because they're out of cheesy burritos. So it's kind of like the Storm and her mom. When I saw her mom, because the thing is, at first I did think, what is going on? Because Storm was just like, what you want, mom? But then I was like, oh, your mom. And your mom is about starting to get the Holy Ghost and she's going to fall out and start crying. And she was just like, all right, mommy. So it's kind of like with that. It's like, I feel like every family has a certain amount of dysfunction. Anytime I see somebody's family that looks too perfect, I'm like, well, clearly I don't know you guys that well. Because there's always a certain amount of drama, dysfunction, parent, child. It's always something the parent didn't do. And I just feel like it was a nice moment, but I did notice that Porsha was egging the moment to happen because when her mom stood up, Storm was like, here she go. And Storm was trying to diffuse it by not even looking at her mom's eyes, like, mom, sit down. And the mom for a second was going to disengage. And then Porsha was like, go give your mom a hug. Right? Yeah. So Storm walked toward her mom, and then that's when the fireworks went off. And I said, look at Miss Williams producing the scene because she knows how crazy her Aunt Darlene is. So I said, right there. I want a real hug. She fell out. She got the hug. Like Storm with the hugger.
It was crazy. Honestly, I felt like, I agreed with the aunt. Remember the aunt who doesn't know anybody at the table when she was like, Lauren needs to be careful messing with this woman because she's going to open up a bunch of wounds and not necessarily know how to heal them or close them. So people are just going to be walking around with all this trauma in the air and not knowing how to handle it. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I do have to say too, and I know this is irrelevant, but when you were using that analogy of you going to Taco Bell over the cheesy burrito, that felt like that was really real. Like maybe you've been through that. Just saying.
I had a long day. I was fasting. I was hangry. I just wanted that damn cheesy burrito. And when they said no, and I knew it's because it was so close to closing. Yeah. If they'd had a camera on me, they would have been like, she's clearly insane. Yeah, the cheesy burrito, it struck a chord. But again, anybody can follow you around and find the worst moments when you just don't care. And people are watching you. And you're like, I don't care. So,
exactly.
I agree.
Once you're pushed over the edge, like nothing matters. All holds barred. All bets are off. You guys, speaking of the auntie who does not know anybody, I thought she was only going to say she didn't know the friends, the assistants or whatever, but she included Porsha's sister. She doesn't know Porsha's sister either. What?
She was like, I'm getting to know you. And that's her niece, right? That's her niece.
Wait, Porsha's sister?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she-
she doesn't know her.
Wait, I thought that was Lauren's on her side. Or no? She's not a Williams, the gray-haired lady? I thought she was a Williams.
yeah. And she pointed to Lauren and said, I'm
But
getting to
Lauren's a
know you.
Williams. Oh, I thought
Right,
she was.
that's what we're saying. It's so weird.
Oh, I saw that wrong. I thought she was throwing shade at Simon. Okay, I got to rewatch that scene. I got the scene wrong. Oh, that's weird because Porsha said that aunt, that's Portia's. No, I'm sorry. Lauren said in her Twitter stories that aunt is one of her favorites aunt, and she said she's been the most supportive in her journey for a spiritual help. So I don't know who. I don't know why she would say that to Lauren. That's so weird. Unless, do you think it was a Franken bit? Or maybe Simon got up to use the bathroom and she was like, some people aren't in the family. And then they cut to Lauren real quick. I don't know.
I feel like that could be shady editing, but honestly, I just was looking at her assistant or former assistant, and I was looking at like the friends at the table when they were all like, oh, she's talking about us. And I thought that's where it was directed. But this was a whole SHIT show to begin with. So
it was. And, you know, it makes me think with the thing that they never, how people are like, oh, it was expanded to 8 episodes. And I was like, it couldn't have been, because honestly, they could have teased that scene out. They could have shown us more at the table and at the Keone, whatever, the water well that they were at, right? The ditch, as Porsha likes to call it, when they was in a ditch. They could have spread these scenes out. And it's funny they compacted so much, because you're right. There are things that's just like, wait, what's going on with you guys' interpersonal dynamics? So
it is interesting, right? Like, it makes it kind of seem like, well, what kind of, like, you know, it's a show about your family dynamics, but they're not even going to stay on code and pretend that they've got like some kind of relationship with each other as a family, you know. And speaking of weird, after Storm's mom talks about how she kind of like doesn't have a close relationship with Storm. Like, we find out later that it's because she put her businesses ahead of Storm, according to her own self. Did you guys find it weird how Denis was kind of like picking at Storm, demanding that she give her mom a hug, acknowledge it, and this and that, to the point where Storm starts screaming at him to like back off, and he curses her out and causes a scene to leave? Like, was that necessary? Was he doing too much? Is there something underlying between him and her? Was he deflecting from his own relationship with Porsha? What was the point of him acting up like this over Storm's drama? Let's start with you, Lailah. What do you think about that?
I thought it was definitely too much. I thought it was really immature. I had to, you know, watch it twice. And the second time I watched it, that's when I picked up that when Denis was saying his little speech and saying that their family was broken, that's when I picked up that he called out Storm's name. Like, he was picking on her. And I thought it was strange. I don't know if it's because, like he said, you know, when she worked for him, she wasn't a good employee. Or if it's like she said that he was flirting with her, like maybe there is something underlying there. But he seemed really pressed about Storm.
Yeah. Did you catch it too, Tisa?
Yeah, I did. See, here's the thing. When Lauren slipped up and called Denis her brother-in-law, I really do think that Denis has literally ingrained himself in that family. They look at Denis, it's like, you family for life. You're going to be invited to all the cookouts and all the Christmas dinners, no matter how much everyone's mad at you. You're going to be there, right? The Storm thing, I looked at it as like, yeah, Storm does seem a little lost, but then again, I'm like, if I had a camera on me when I was her age, I'm sure I seemed a little lost all over the place too, you know? So I look at it as just her being like early 20s. She's a pretty girl. You're on TV. You're just, you know, you're being young. I did think that what Denis was doing, and again, maybe I'm projecting too much, but I do know that people have a habit of anytime it's inter-family dynamics, they force the status quo without even questioning, is the parent, is the relative toxic? So it's just like, you love your mom, kiss your mom, respect your dad, and nobody ever listens to the person. It's just like, but they're the toxic person. So I just looked at that as, for a minute, we're enforcing status quos in Denis's mind. No matter what your mama did, you give her a kiss on the cheek and you just put water under the bridge. So, I mean, I looked at it as just not Denis doing too much, but just Denis being unhealthy. But also it let me know how much Denis is in the family, that Denis was speaking to Storm from a place of authority and nobody was checking him. They were literally acting like her uncle was like, kiss your mom. So it just let me know how much Denis and Porsha's relationship, well, not Denis and Porsha's relationship, but how deep Denis is with that family and how much they respect him and looked at him as Porsha's man, which made me think again, when did y'all actually break up? When did y'all actually break up? Like, did you guys just break up a month or two ago? And that's why the Versace robe is still over the house. You know? Like, literally. And I just want to say about that robe, as much, right? Now, I saw Lailah's Versace robe last week. Versace robes are lovely. I would love one. But Simon's supposed to be worth all this money. Why didn't you buy Porsha every Versace robe in the world? And I understand Porsha not wanting, maybe if she want to be petty, not give Denis stuff back. But the way I am, I'm either giving it back or I'm throwing it in the trash. But one way or the other, your stuff's not going to be in my house because I don't want to see it. So,
well, he's too busy trying to pay the escrow for the Florida mansion. So with that,
every dollar counts.
Every dollar counts.
So Adam, I want to ask you, when it came to Denis's showdown with Storm, the women, Lauren was really upset about it. Porsha was upset about it. Like everyone except Denis's mom was upset about it. One thing that stood out to me was the makings of the Londi versus Storm kind of drama. So here we find out a little bit later, Londi says she's team Denis. Like she agrees with Denis, you know, telling Storm to shut the F up. How did you feel about that? And she kind of said that it's basically because she doesn't like Storm. They don't get along. They don't talk. And that's why she's going to side with Denis, regardless of what he said to Storm. Do you agree with Londi's positioning there?
Well, I feel like that a lot of these, you know, people are in their own emotions when they're trying to figure out how they would address the situation. I don't know Denis as far as like how many brothers and sisters he has, but I have 7 sisters, right? So there's no way, no chance ever that I would have gotten away with talking to my sisters that way. Even if we were in a back and forth, they could say whatever they wanted to me, but I was not allowed to disrespect a woman. And I'm so happy that I was raised that way, you know, because you would never catch me in that kind of moment like Denis was in. But then I was trying to play devil's advocate here and put myself in the situation. And I've been, you know, just recently at my Thanksgiving family dinner where I've been around cousins and stuff who we don't get along. And it's that one of those weird things where like when they say something, it irks you. When you say something, it triggers them. You don't know why, but it's just like, you cringe when they talk and you hate to be in that place. But I feel like that's where they're at. And as for Londi, Londi's in her emotions because Storm is making, well, they're both making a spectacle out of each other in front of everybody, in front of the cameras. So now they know this is working. There's this feud. Let's continue this feud because it's a storyline. I don't know. It's one big mess. This is why I wouldn't invite reality TV cameras into my family. I'm trying to understand it from all sides. Should Denis tell somebody to shut the f up, especially when she's a young woman? No. But does Storm pop off and does she have the ability to also go there? Yes. So who's more wrong? I don't know. But I also agree with Tisa too. If I were 20 years old on camera, you would get a whole different Adam. You would get messiness, me not really understanding like my full power and who I can be and how to control myself. And I think for Storm, she's in that position. We don't know where she comes from or what she's been through. And she's very highly reactive. There might be a reason for that. I mean, you met her mom. Just saying.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like the apple's not really falling too far from the tree, except her mom seems to me like she's kind of off naturally, like a Mary Cosby from the Housewives of Salt Lake City.
No, not Mary Cosby. That's like, no. Mary Cosby, that's like the what? I get so much crap because everyone thinks I'm so mean to Mary. And I'm like, I'm not mean to her. Last night, did you guys watch the episode?
I cried tears. You were horrible to her. Horrible, Adam. I cried tears.
Last night she said she complimented one of her co-stars, who's this beautiful Vietnamese woman, and she said, "Oh my God, look at your slanty eyes in this photo." And she's like,
but you know what? Mary was wrong for saying that, but Mary reminds me of your kooky old aunt or grandmother that hasn't realized it's 1920 and being like, because the thing is with Mary, the thing she said, I said, "Oh my God," but then she said it with genuine admiration. So I was like, that's why Jim was like, does Mary not know? Because it was an insult, but you said it with a lot of like, oh, wow, look how pretty your eyes are. And I was just like, Mary, somebody like.
We can't start giving everybody a pass because then over here, before we know it, we're going to be
Mary
saying,
a pass.
Just Ramona. She's just
Ramona's
I'm not
giving her a pass. No, I agree. It was completely wrong. I would never. And if it was somebody saying something about me or my features or, oh, you're so pretty for a Black girl, I would be offended too. No, Jim was 100% right. But getting back to Darlene and Storm also. There's also that dynamic when I was watching it that the Williams think they're better than Porsha's mom. So I don't even know Miss Diane, but think they're better than Miss Diane's thing, right? It's not just them, all of Atlanta. The Williams are like the people in Atlanta that's just like, you always got to keep up with. So, but Porsha's mom's side does not like the Williams, because who would like anybody that looks down on them? Dennis is actually really, really cool with the Williams. They look at him as like a suitable choice. I did also see, and I thought it was a little mean, that it seemed like they were kind of letting Storm buck up and say what she wanted, because I feel like that's the way Porsha's side of the family solves things, like by getting rowdy, doing this, but they all have enough sense to know. So when Storm pops off, instead of just being like, shut up, right? They're just like, yeah, Storm. And they just quietly sit there and let her say everything they want and be aggressive and hostile. And they get the good edit, but they can still buck back at the Williams side of the family. So I saw that as, like you said, the families don't like each other, and Storm was the only one that was young and dumb enough to actually take it there, and they were fine to let her do that. So
I have a question for you three ladies. Like the way I grew up in my family household, like my dad was super submissive, and like my mom and my stepmoms, they were always like very strong, powerful women. And when they would talk, you would not cut them off. Like that's how I grew up, where like the mom was in power. She was the matriarch of the family. And so we always knew, like when she starts talking, even if it was the most erratic thing, just let your mom go, let her go. And, I wonder if in this situation, like maybe this side of Porsha's family, they've been raised where like the women, like kind of let her speak, even though you're a man and you think that you're right, a real man will back down, let her speak her piece, and then go have a scotch, shut the heck up, and just vent to yourself. Like, I wonder if that's the dynamic with this family, because it reminds me a little bit of my family. Like, even when my sisters or mom, like anyone pops off, we go off to the side and we'll have a chit chat, but we don't call them out.
Are there men?
My family.
Are there men on Porsha's side?
It's one of those under the rug.
Yeah, sorry, Grace. What were you saying?
No, were you asking like, is that like a similar dynamic in our families kind of thing that like we're used to as well, Adam?
Yeah, well, I'm asking because I'm looking at it from my perspective of maybe this is how they operate in Porsha's family, where like they're looking at Storm, even though she's being erratic, they're like, let her speak her piece. And Denis has no right to interject, cut her off, or even talk to her that way. I wonder if it's that kind of like the woman is talking. And the only reason I say that is because that's from experience from my family. So I wonder if that's what's going on in her family. That's all.
I mean, my family is similar. I was raised in the South. Like, I call my mom like ma'am, like yes, ma'am. And my family is similar as far as like my mom being the matriarch. And no, we wouldn't cut her off. You know what I mean? We might leave. Like if something got too bad, we might leave, but we're not going to cuss her out before we leave, or anybody in our family. You know what I mean? So it is a similar dynamic in my family. And that could be what it is. It's possible. I just think it looks bad. For Denis to talk like that to Storm. I feel like you shouldn't tell anybody STFU. But when you're talking to someone, a woman, she's so much smaller than you, like it looks bad.
Yeah, I did hear from production. Definitely, listen, a man shouldn't be talking to a woman like that. I didn't grow up in a family where the men were submissive or the women were submissive. It's like, I grew up in a big family. Everybody was arguing, right? But we wouldn't curse at each other. We might call each other dummy, stupid, but we wouldn't curse at each other, or we get popped in the face by my mom. But I will say that there's also that thing in that big scene. That scene was actually really huge. And Storm was also cursing a lot at Denis. But that said, if that was my little sister or my cousin or my niece, yeah, we would have had a problem. Like, don't be talking to her like that. So I definitely think Denis was dead wrong. No matter what Storm was doing, she's also a little kid. If a little kid is sitting there cursing me out, it's like, I mean, what are you gonna do? Like a 19-year-old's cursing you out. What are you honestly gonna do? Exactly, because it's just like, you're so immature. Like, go away. So
I would go eat one of my $1 million hot dogs and buzz off.
Yes. It's like, honestly, you look at them as little kids, like, what are you doing? But I will say that the most interesting dynamic there to me was the fact that Denis is completely embraced by the family, and Simon kept trying to intervene and be the voice of reason or say whatever. And people acted like there was like a mosquito buzzing. Like they didn't even bother to turn their heads. They would just be like, so anyway, where are we at? It was just.
I also feel like that was loyalty by by baby Pilar. Like, they're like, he is the father. This is a very awkward, interesting dynamic. Like, Denis is not ever going anywhere. Simon could come and go. There's no baby involved. So we're going to respect this, whatever the situation is with Denis. And I also feel like he's a little bit more charismatic and tries to get involved with the family, tries to have a conversation. And, you know, I've had relationships where I brought people around and they haven't even, you know, they didn't even say hi to my mom. And then I've had other situations where I brought people around and they're like, hi, Miss So-and-so, how are you? Oh my God, here's flowers. And I think for Denis, he's really good at nurturing these little independent relationships with different members of the family. One, it benefits him because he finds out what Porsha's doing. And two, you don't want to go against the family. Nobody goes against the family. Right?
Exactly. You know, it's interesting watching all of these like kind of complicated dynamics play out. You know, the reason I was asking you that is because you'll see later on Londi continues to dig at Storm. You know, she takes any opportunity to kind of like crap on her. And we'll get into that a little bit later in the recap. But real quick, we do have a super chat from Dora. Thank you so much for the super chat, Dora. She asked, after watching Tisa's interview with Fallon, I'm convinced Simon and Porsha both have narcissistic traits. What do you guys think?
Absolutely. Listen, Simon and his exes, I've talked to pretty much all his exes, they all seem to be on the same page about him being narcissistic. Porsha, again, I doubted it at first, but after seeing this show, and I know now she's saying it's just entertainment, where you were just on Tamara Hall last week saying, this is the real me, look upon my life and wonder. But I do think that they both have narcissistic traits. That said, I think most people in reality TV have narcissistic traits, the people that really, really, really last for a long time. Do you know what I'm saying? Either that or they are literally putting on a front, you know, like I believe a lot of people when they say Kenya's perfectly lovely in person, but when it comes to TV, she will make a scene, she will turn up, she'll do, and it's just all work. She clocks in and she clocks out, so she has a facade. But yeah, I do think that even with Porsha, the way everything turned toward her, the way every moment where people were really trying to have breakthroughs, whether they were being ridiculous or not, they were trying to really speak from the heart. And there was a very few touching real moments. And Porsha would be like, well, I'm not over it. It was just always like, can you stop being the toxic one in the situation? Like, just go along with the group. So
and I didn't actually think Londi was being like aggressive in the conversation or like overstepping. I think that this was obviously they left off on a riff. And when she was talking about the trauma that she's been through, Storm, I think that one, we have to chalk it up to Londi's new to reality TV, but I have to give her credit where credit's due. And I feel like she tried to use this as a genuine moment to be like, well, okay, you stood up and you got aggressive with me. Maybe that's where this stems from. I feel like that's where she was going with the conversation. And I probably, to be honest, I probably would have been a Londi. Like, wait, you ripped my face off yesterday. Is it because you've been through trauma and now I'm trying to better understand you? I don't know. I'm a nice guy, so I try to understand.
Adam.
Listen.
Lailah are not for you.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. Lailah, I missed you. And all of you ladies look so beautiful. I'm sorry.
If you're talking about, listen, on the surface, Londi, because you know Londi has that thing. Sometimes when you say things so politely, you let it slide. But I thought about it. This girl standing up, talking about past abuse, all these things, this and that. And Londi's like, yeah, is that why you? And I was just like, now Londi, she tried it. She tried it, but she did it in that way that's good for TV. You didn't curse. You didn't. And unfortunately, in this world, we live in a time where whoever speaks the calmest wins, even if they're saying really hurtful, nasty stuff. If you could say it calmly and say it with a smile, people look at you as you're the reasonable one. This is the world we live in. But literally, Londi, because I thought if that was me, that would have really got under my skin. I'm already being vulnerable. Now you're making fun of me and you're making a joke. Okay. You know? So
what did you think, Lailah?
I thought it was on purpose. Like, I understood what she said and it made sense. But for her to say it at that time, the timing shows you that she was being shady. Like, she doesn't really care about Storm and where she got her aggression from. Like, she was trying to be shady at that moment because she doesn't like Storm.
And you guys don't even forget, this is where it gets even darker because there's the assistant, Lauren, whatever. She goes, how can you be so hurt about being beaten up, but then you try and stand up and beat someone else? Storm didn't say anything. Did she say anything about beating someone else, or was she just like puffing her chest? But either way, I felt like this was really bad to say.
I think she was referring to that episode. I think it was last episode where Storm was standing up on Londi. I think she was referring to that, like Storm saying, I was in an abusive relationship. I used to be abused. Referring to that, but then, her standing up like she's going to do something to somebody. That's what I think she meant. It doesn't make sense.
See, and do you think it's fair, to say that? Like, if someone's opening up about abuse, is it fair to then turn around and say, how do you cry about abuse when you're this, that, or the other?
I mean, no. It's ignorant. It's ignorant. It shows that you have, thank goodness, it shows that you have either never been in an abusive relationship, or you've never been close to somebody in an abusive relationship. And you don't understand that usually the people acting out are the ones that just got out of abusive or are in abusive relationships. I will say that, across all, I agree with Lottie more times than not. But how you guys were just saying, in reality TV, we all pick teams like, oh, it's Barcelona, it's Real Madrid, it's this and that. But at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, Lottie, she is one of my favorites. But at the end of the day, she was wrong for what she did, I think, in that moment. And there's nothing wrong with disagreeing. Okay, Lottie, I love you. I ride for you. But that was really ignorant what you did. And you did it on purpose. And it was funny. And I appreciated it. But yeah, it was dark, but it also showed a level of, thank goodness you've never actually had to experience that type of energy in your life to not even understand what abuse actually looks like.
I do agree. Well, one, Lailah doesn't like when people take teams. She said that before. Haven't you?
I don't remember. I might have. I don't remember.
I think you said I don't like taking sides or teams. I don't know. I'm just trying to remember.
Me personally. Yeah, I try not to. As a blogger, I try not to. But that's just me.
But no, when I'm thinking about the Londi and Storm situation too, Londi made a great point. She's like, you don't know what I've been through. You don't know what trauma I've been through. So right now we're trying to understand each other. But I can see, it's almost like when you see a kid grow up and they start getting into like these tumultuous relationships because that's what they saw from their parents, or they're aggressive and they cuss like a sailor and that's how they react in conversations because that's where they came from. And you start adopting these really bad behavioral traits because it's what you've been surrounded by for so long. So I think for Storm, it's been a defense mechanism in order to kind of protect herself, was to pop off and take control over the situation, or, threaten the situation and let you know, if you don't back down, I'm going to go there. And she has to eventually take that, remove herself from that. But who's to tell somebody how long they're going to go through this kind of trauma? I don't actually know what she went through, but I agree with Londi. We all have had our things, no matter, where you come from, who you are, what gender, what color, like everybody has something that they've been through in some capacity that shapes you. So Londi's just saying, wait a minute, hold on. I've been through too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm Team Londi over here. Sorry. Team Londi.
I'm Team Londi too, but that would have been an argument had somebody done that to me, because I would see that as such disrespect. And Londi was trying to be disrespectful. And it's okay, because Londi, you already said you don't like the girl and you guys have beef. It's understandable. I see why you're doing it. But Londi, that's my only pet peeve. Don't sit there and spit in my face and then tell me it's raining. I get it. You don't like me. You're being shady. But don't try to walk it back down. Stand in that shade, So,
speaking of abusive, I think we start to get a few kind of like glimpses of the real Simon in this episode. Like Porsha's kind of unwinding with him, talking about what went down and stuff. And he talks in circles, throwing out buzzwords, but not real advice and stuff like that. But he does ask her to pack up Denis's stuff, which is like, okay, whatever. I'm over the robe at this point. But then he really reveals himself over breakfast with Denis, when he talks about how he's really good at packing up women's stuff. Like when he's done with them, he's got a company on hold, ready to toss their stuff out. And then Denis, he kind of goes, okay, well, listen, he's had a bunch of wives. He is calculated. And at this point, Porsha needs to watch herself, because she very well could be next. I added she could very well could be next, but he's warning Porsha at this point. Lailah, is Denis's concern genuine or is it shady?
Well, it's both. It's both. Like, it is shady, but it's a genuine concern. Well, I'll say it's a real concern. I don't know that he's being genuine, but as far as Simon, like he is like import export when it comes to the wives. Like he takes them in and then he kicks them out. So I think Porsha should be concerned about that. And I think, like you said, we're seeing a real Simon where women, and we mentioned this last week, where women are disposable to him. He might have one wife at a time, but you can tell the way he moves, women are disposable to him. So I think Denis was right, even though he was being shady in that moment.
Yeah.
I looked at it as what was having was a contest. They were having a measuring contest because I was looking at those underlying dynamics. First of all, Denis was trying to rub it in Simon's face like, yeah, your girl's still thinking about me. This is weird. What's going on? When he approached him, was like, yo, can you I'm gonna have a girl. Can you control her? This and that. And then Simon, which I thought was really, really weird, instead of getting offended and checking Denis, his way of retaliating was to let Denis know, well, she ain't nothing to me either because I pack up women. I got somebody on speed dial. And I was like, boy, you're on Yelp just like the rest of us. Shut up. You got a special moving company. You don't even got one company. Now you got a fleet of movers to move your exes out. But I said, let's play Fantasy Island, right? The fact that your response, instead of defending Porsha or saying, well, what are you talking about? Listen, if she hasn't gotten you your roll back, it's because it just hasn't. I'll give you your roll back. Calm down. What you mean? I don't got to control Porsha. She doesn't care what you do. He decided to let Denis know that Porsha didn't mean anything to him. And I said, that's really interesting about your psychology, that you actually don't care about defending anybody's honor. You only care about your ego and the way you look to the other person. So I thought that was really weird, really weird.
That's narcissistic, right? They care about their ego.
Narcissistic. Yeah. And Lailah, I just got to say, I've heard it in the comments. Your hair is
thank you.
Those waves are waving. When you were nodding your head, I was like, okay, bouncy. Okay, I see the curls. Your hair is waving. Okay.
Can I say, and I know this is off topic really quick. Jason even said to me before I came on, because I was running around like a madman and trying to get stuff done. My mother-in-law is coming in town today. And Jason said, when do you go live? I said, in 5 minutes. He's like, looking like that. Have you seen how those 3 ladies come on? Like they always look on point, on fire. And I was like, I'm going to need you to get the fuck away from me. I'm trying to go get flowers for your mom. Trying to get some Christmas presents and whatnot. So back up. But with Denis and Simon, this back and forth, I do think it's a bowing of the chest. Like, okay, I see you, you see me. But the way that Simon is constantly referring to women or the situations that he's been in with different women, like I had my grandpa and my dad, and he had a couple on the side. And, you don't want any more on the side. And then you're also talking about how you pack up and move the women out. I feel like there's just a blatant disrespect here. And also kind of like I'm man, you're woman, I'm here, you're here, I make the rules. That's why this is not going to work. Like Porsha has settled into her own, I am Porsha, the world revolves around me, I make this money happen. And now she has to kind of be a little bit more submissive to this way. I don't know if it's a cultural way or if this is just how he is, but she has to be more submissive.
Chasing a bag. It's no culture. It's the holy church of chasing a bag and gold digging. She feels like if she could just keep her mouth shut and make it to the altar, then she can affect all the fruits, the fruits of her labor. Y'all, did you guys notice also? Remember when Simon was talking to Porsha and he was like, listen, I have a favor to ask you. And Porsha looked at him and said, my thighs hurt. Like, what? Not tonight. My thighs hurt. She thought Simon was trying to get a little frisky with her. She was already making excuses about how her thighs hurt and this and that. And I said, Porsha, who are you kidding? Shut up. Like, we're not believing this. And then he's like, no, I mean, could you pack up Denis's robes? I thought that was really interesting, too, that you guys haven't even been together for that long. And you already making excuses about you got a headache tonight. And I thought that was real.
I got that, too. One thing that was interesting to me is you never see any kind of affection between the two of them. And I actually took a screenshot of the one moment she let him touch her hand for a whopping 3 seconds, or she touched his kneecap for 3 seconds. That's the most PDA I've really seen from them, like, since their whole trip. Like, it's interesting how these two work. Their dynamic is a little interesting, let's just say.
Could this really be, though? Like, I know that people are trying to run with this narrative, like this is all BS and they're doing this for publicity, but could this really be like that good of a kept secret? Like, is anyone really going to commit themselves to laying next to a man that you are completely not attracted to, you don't want to marry, and Well, then again, Anna Nicole Smith. Never mind. Carry on.
Yeah.
Never
It
mind.
happens. And don't forget about Porsha's Rolls Royce. Remember, she got that from like a really, really old man.
Yes. I forgot. I totally forgot.
Mhm.
These men and women exist. I forget. Sorry.
Yeah.
By the way, you guys, if you're just tuning in, we are doing a recap of episode 4 of Porsha's Family Matters. I'm here with Tisa Tells, Lailah Lynn TV, and Up and Adam. I've got a link to all of their channels in the description box down below. If you're enjoying the commentary, please make sure to subscribe to their channels as well. They all cover pop culture and they're on it. They are consistent as it gets, okay? And we've also got our moderator, Shan and Ben, in here as well. I've got a link to her channel in the description box down below as well, as she does cover pop culture also. So we've got another super chat here. It's from Light Mission 23. Thank you so much. They say both Simon and Porsha are obsessed with their exes. I can say, you know what? I would actually want to add Denis to the list a little bit, because in this week's episode, did you guys notice while they're doing the meditation thing, he talks about how Porsha's still in love with him too. Like, he keeps mentioning it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious, but it's obvious. I think at this point, the way Porsha's been like, you can't take a girl here. And even that scene that's coming up for next week, I can't wait to see it because I thought that was so aggressive. Porsha is so aggressive in the way when she said, take your mom, take your SLTS. It's like you're literally begging for somebody to literally get in your face. That was just like, where I would be like, well,
yeah, that was, yeah.
And it sounded like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm like cringing. I'm just cringing and outbursting. Sorry.
No, but I literally just want to ask you guys a question. Have you guys ever been in a relationship where it seems to me they're united by hate? Every time the camera's around, they're talking trash about their exes. They're talking trash. It's like, do you guys ever just sit there and be in love and like have fun and sparkly conversations? Like, what do y'all think about that?
What kind of Disneyland type are you into?
I've never sat there and had a conversation about how much I hated my ex to a man that I'm in love with. I don't
Oh
know.
no, Jason and I sit down and we'll have happy hour and he's like, I hate this, and this about you. And I'm like, that's great. I have a list from today that I hate about you. And no, I'm just kidding.
But I was going to say, not about your exes though. I've never done that. I've never experienced that. But I wanted to say on Porsha, I'm going to just call it the S word, SLUT. And she said it plural. She said on the preview to get Denis and his S words out of here. And it sounded like, are you calling his mom an S word too? Like, why are you saying plural? Get Denis and his S's out of here.
Well, how did she say it? So she said, get Denis and his S's. Did she say, and your mom? Your S's?
She added that on, but I felt like she said it the way she said it at first for a reason. Denis and his S words. And then she said, and his mom. So to me,
she's like catching herself and adding the mom.
For herself.
Oh, like her hatred for the mom came out a lot this episode. Yeah. Like,
I also think, like, to be honest, and I don't know about you ladies, but I don't think I can recall, unless it was like in middle school, high school, I can't recall the last time where I was in a relationship where it was so uncomfortable to be around my ex while also really being invested in the relationship that I was in. And for Porsha and Denis, this whole thing, there's something that is off, and we can all see that. They're triggering each other in these weird ways. Mm-hmm. Denis knows what buttons to press to get to Porsha. Porsha wanting Simon in his face and showing up like, I'm here, I'm late, you guys are all waiting for me. Hi, Denis, look at Simon, look at my new ring. Like, this is so toxic. If I were him, he doesn't even need the money. I don't know why he signed up to do this show. I would have told Porsha, buzz off.
Mm-hmm. No.
Because he wants that fame. Simon, again, to me, y'all see my exposés, y'all know my opinion, but even if I didn't have to have it, I would either say that you were a liar or there was something psychologically wrong, that you reached this level of success, but you need people, like, you need the fame. You need it so much that you're willing to go through everything. Again, I talk about Porsha chasing the bag. The way Porsha always has Denis's name on her lips, and the way Simon just sits there and takes it, and he knows that it's not cool. You can tell by his face, but it almost seems to me like the way, like, I guess, like, Anna Nicole Smith was sitting there with her old man husband, like, let me just shut up and smile because I don't want to rock the boat and I have a goal. And Lailah, I will say, Lailah is a Cancer, and she caught that thing the way she was trying to include Denis's mom with the S, and then was like, and your mother too. She cleaned that up real quick. But yeah, I did feel that thing where it's like, damn, you don't take your foot off Miss Gina's neck. So that was a good match.
So I'm an Aries.
Oh, you're an Aries?
I'm a Cancer. I'll be the Cancer.
Oh, okay. Then we got a Cancer. Okay. Sorry, you're an Aries.
That comment in the live chat from It's K Dior that said something about Denis should propose to Kenya. That would be the funniest thing ever. Just pull up on Kenya now. That would be great.
Just to complete the circle, it would be like Black China when she went and got robbed. Like, it would be like that level of iconic, guys.
Yeah.
So I think it was last week's episode or the week before, we talked a little bit about, sorry, let me just make sure I'm going in order here. We talked a little bit about how maybe there's something off between Porsha and Lauren, right? So we get into it. Like, I think Tisa, you were mentioning that you felt like maybe Porsha was kind of sabotaging Lauren's like dinner and stuff like that. I noticed, and Lauren started to point it out, she was supposed to come to morning meditation with everyone, but Porsha did not show up. Denis showed up even after all the drama he caused before. And then the bougie Aunt Liz was also there, even though she doesn't trust the shaman. But Porsha was not there, and it is Porsha's family. Do you feel like this is another example of Porsha kind of like leaving her sister out to hang dry?
I completely thought so, because it's like, even the fact Simon didn't even bother to go to that exercise. And the one thing that really struck me, and I actually felt hurt for Lauren, and Lauren recovered pretty quickly, was when she pulled Porsha off the dinner to be like, yo, Denis bought like a girl here. And Porsha was like, well, I'm just concerned with Miss Gina, because when we was in the ditch, she didn't even apologize. And I was like, that was a spiritual excursion, regardless if you believe in it or if you think it's mumbo jumbo. You still got to respect what other people value, right? And it's very important to her. And the fact that you referred to as a ditch, I was like, okay, so this lets me know, one, you're talking about me behind my back. 2, you're laughing at it. 3, it's in the most derogatory way. And 4, you have so little respect for me. And maybe it's because Porsha was a little tipsy. She didn't look like she was drunk, that you're even referring, you let it slip out. So in that moment, I saw Lauren, to me, for a second, looked like Porsha slapped her in the face. And then she recovered super quickly. And she was just like, she just shut up. She didn't respond to her. She was just like, all right, cool. Let's go back to the table. So it was great.
Porsha, and I'm always giving you guys these ridiculous like family stories, but Porsha kind of reminds me of like when I go around my brothers, Jason says that I overshadow the conversation with telling them what I'm doing. And he says, like, you always talk about yourself. And I feel like that's not true. But it's interesting when you have like your best friend in life who like checks you and puts that mirror in front of you. And I feel like Porsha does that to Lauren. Like, she overshadows her. She's used to the spotlight being on her. And so she doesn't care, like her not showing up to Lauren's, situation where they're all going to meditate and do yoga. She doesn't care. She's like, you're here filming because of me. So I feel like that's how Porsha looks at the situation. However, hold on. Mama Gina came to that dinner with the Cheshire Cat grin, knowing that Denis was out on a date with that woman. So this is, even though Porsha, you're messy, you have no reason to be mad, you're shady, Mama Gina, she's a real concern. She came and she's like, I don't know why I'm here. My son is not. He's on a date. Did anybody ask? No, you didn't ask. He's on a date. It's her birthday. He wanted to take her out. It's like you're being shady on purpose.
What do you guys think about this, though? Kathy Smith said, why didn't Simon tell Porsha that Denis was going to bring a date? That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Denis did ask him, and Simon ain't tell Porsha, and Porsha was sitting there acting all like surprised with Lauren. So what's true? Did Simon keep that from you, or was Porsha just faking and she already knew?
Well, Porsha does a lot of playing dumb. So I would feel like he told her, and then she decided to play dumb for camera because, like we mentioned earlier, she likes to produce and she knows it needs to be a good moment for TV, maybe. Real quick, you guys.
By not telling her. Maybe Simon was producing by not telling her. Because I felt like when Lauren told her, you could see Porsha's face kind of drop. And I don't know that Porsha's that good of an actress, but to me, it felt like she was just learning that information. It felt like a real moment.
And Lailah, did you feel like it was appropriate, her reaction then? Like the way that Porsha kind of like obsessed about it and then kind of made it about his mom and stuff?
Well, it seemed like she was trying not to give the girl energy. They keep calling her work, which I think is kind of offensive. But the girl, she was like, we're not going to make this a moment. And I took it like she's not going to have a whole scene about Dennis's girlfriend. You know what I mean? That's how I took it.
Yeah.
Honestly,
real quick, you guys. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I wanted to call NBC and have Denis fired. And I don't ever want to get anybody to lose their job. But Denis, the fact that you didn't even bring that girl to the dinner and blow everything up, you should be fired. Just like Whitney unplugging Jen Shaw's mic on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, you should be fired. Like this is a moment that would have been great for us. You're trying to pitch this TV show. If you're going to commit, don't overcommit and underdeliver. You should have shown up. But we didn't get that.
How could you do this to me? Question mark. Yeah. You guys, real quick, we got some super chats. Dr. Payne, I saw yours earlier. Thank you so much for the super chat. Everyone's complimenting us as a panel, you guys. And Dora has the same comment here. Thank you so much to you as well, Dora. Love this panel, 4 different views, yet all building nicely together like a group of friends. We go back. I feel like it's been like at least a year now with Adam and Lailah for sure. And Tisa, it feels like it's been at least a year, okay? Now, next up, you guys, they're at the waterfall, and then we get into the dramatics where the mom wants a hug from the daughter, but I kind of wanted to get into this because you know how we were talking about how this show was supposed to be about civil rights and stuff, like before it kind of went, the ratchet route. How did you guys feel about like Aunt Liz's very solemn moment here where she was talking about the PTSD that she experiences, having been a young girl in the midst of the civil rights movement, where she was protesting and in the sit-ins and stuff. And she was arrested at 9 years old. And, it was really heartbreaking to hear that she's haunted by these things. What did you think? I'm going to start with you, Lailah.
Yeah, I felt bad for her that was her childhood. Instead of, running and playing jump rope and, happy experiences in your childhood. Her childhood was, running from the triple K, I'll say. And, I felt bad for her that it still haunts her. I can see how it would, those type of experiences and seeing certain things. I could see how it could haunt you. So I felt bad for her. I felt really bad for her.
I felt bad, honestly. For me too, I think watching back, like we get so many stories of like our parents or our grandparents, their best friends and what they went through, growing up. And I feel like sometimes as kids, we don't really pay attention, but as adults, especially now, with having just so much going on in the world, it was really, first of all, it was heartbreaking, but really interesting listening, like she just went through this. So when people look at like the change that needs to happen in our world and like things that are going on and they're like, that was hundreds of years ago, I think that she is a living, breathing product of, no, this has heavily impacted her life. This is not your time to speak over. Listen. And, even for her, like when she explained it in this moment, my heart broke. I'm a Cancer. Tisa, you got the wrong one. It's me. I'm a Cancer. And I get emotional. When she cries, I cry. If you get mad and you want to go fight somebody, I'm here. I'll egg you on, but I'm not going to fight. But you know what I mean? Like, I just get emotional. So with this, this was that.
It was really, I'm on the same page as you guys. Like, it was just so sad. It made me think of like how traumatic these things are. And like, trauma gets passed down from generation to generation. You know what I mean? Like in DNA and stuff like that. So it's really sad to think about how much that has impacted an entire race of people in this instance. And it's heartbreaking. And like, Adam said earlier, you think like, through history and stuff with all the photos being black and white, that all this stuff happened like hundreds of years ago, but it's very recent. Aunt Liz is not very old. And like, she was in this. Ruby Bridges, who helped desegregate schools in the United States, she's only in her 60s. Like this stuff is like our parents' ages, like I believe my dad is like 61 or something like that. Like this is our lifetime. And so when she started talking, I was like, I feel like she's so above this show. She's so far above it. Like I don't think she should be here, kind of. Like I feel like, what do you think, T?
I mean, honestly, I agree with you guys. It was a heartbreaking scene. It's like my family was actually really involved with the civil rights and Black Panthers. We like to think it happened 100 years ago. We have aunts, uncles, grandparents that are still living with that. And in the Black community, when you're ADOS, I feel like it's something that needs to be addressed, but it's never really addressed in a very respectful way. And it really made me sad when she got deep, because I recognize that pain. I see it's the pain that my parents think, where sometimes we're driving on a road trip and there'll be like a restaurant with too many people and it doesn't look friendly because it not that many people look like that. And because of their wounds of childhood, they're like, oh, let's go find someplace else. The places they want to eat, the neighborhoods they go, where they feel comfortable, even vacation with me in the EU, because they're thinking that everything is just like America. It made me feel sad also that, again, I know Bravo has their brand, but it literally showed me how really touching and something unique that they could have done just by even digging into that energy a little bit more. And for a second, it really just made me be like, what is wrong with Bravo? Because this could have been something a little bit more touching, a little bit more different, a little bit more zany, a little bit more heartwarming, and a little bit more healing. But Bravo doesn't see that as a brand, but that might be why ratings are slipping, because in my mind, I love Bravo. Y'all know I built a whole channel off of it. But you need like to have that heart. You need to have something real. And I just thought it was such a big missed opportunity. So,
we glossed right over it. We then get into Lauren, which is, important as well. But Lauren, she kind of cuts to Lauren. She's like, Lauren, you're trying to heal everybody else. Let's get into your healing. And then Lauren mentions how she feels like she was never fully appreciated by Porsha, right? And then we get into flashbacks of it. And Portia's very dismissive of her feelings. She goes, you were trying to knock me down, like to feel like you were empowered. Was that a fair response in your opinion, Lailah?
No, not at all. Like, she didn't take any accountability. I felt like what Lauren was saying was true from what we saw a few seasons back on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. There was that was a storyline between Porsha and Lauren at one point. And I do think it's true. You could see where Lauren was unappreciated. And then for Porsha to say, oh, she's just making me the big bad wolf, was like very dismissive. And you kind of get, okay, this is what Lauren means. This is what she's talking about. This is what she's talking about.
It really seems like in Portia's world, she's the only victim that ever exists. She's a victim in every single situation.
She's the star.
Yeah.
She's the star. It's only, everyone is against Porsha. If you're not with her, you're against her. Nobody else matters. And I haven't ever thought about Porsha like this, but this goes back to Tisa's original statement at the beginning of this, that this is kind of a PR mess for her, because it makes you look at the situation. You're adding up timelines, you're taking their facts, and you're like, this isn't adding up. Then you see the animosity and the awkwardness between the relationships, and you're like, this is not only not adding up, but it doesn't look good, and it's not selling you to me. Like, it doesn't make me love you. Where I didn't love her on Atlanta. I loved her on the show as a character, but I liked her a lot more than I like her on Portia's Family Matters.
Same. I think,
yeah.
Now, you guys, we're about to wrap up here, so I just want to read out the super chat really quickly. By the way, if you've been enjoying the stream, please make sure to give it a thumbs up to help our videos get into your algorithm. And do make sure to subscribe to Tisa, Lailah, and Adam's channel as well. Lailah, I almost called you Lena. That's why I paused. All of their descriptions, all of their links are in the description box down below. We've also got Shan in band moderating, so please make sure to subscribe to her as well. It's also in the description box. So Lena, thank you for the super chat. She says, Storm is not a little kid. She wasn't going to shut up until she got the reaction that was matching the energy she was putting out. Sorry, now ain't sorry. Fair enough. But I kind of feel like, as a grown man, especially as a father to a daughter, he could have handled that a little bit better. Like, if you're going to leave, why not leave before you get to the point where you're telling like a 20-something-year-old girl to, STS?
Yeah. And what if somebody said that to Pilar when she was 20 years old? You're going to have a very different reaction. I agree. She wasn't going to stop until someone matched her energy, but being a grown man and an adult, I feel like should have more, ability and hold over that power that you have to get up, walk away. You don't need a moment to tell a young girl to shut the up. Just walk away. You win. Silence wins. If you don't give in and cave into the conversation and give that moment, you automatically win. They look like a fool, and you walk away and you're like, I'm too good for this. I have a hot dog restaurant that makes millions of dollars. Goodbye.
Exactly. Well, to your logic, that's why he didn't show up at that dinner. He said, I'm going to give y'all real silence. It's going to be golden, golden, golden. You're not even getting it. You're not even going to hear me breathe. I actually thought, you're right. Listen, I love Denis on the show, but I cannot defend that because, again, whether a Storm or not deserved it, again, I know if it had been anyone, especially a young girl in my family, or even like my little cousins is in his 20s, it would have been a problem. Especially but with women, it's like, you can't do that, Denis. Denis was dead wrong. Everybody was wrong for not checking him. And I just hope that scene they edited it and people did try to check him. And maybe that's why he got up in a huff and left because he knew he was wrong, but he wouldn't apologize. I hope that's the case, that they didn't let a grown man disrespect a young girl and in such an aggressive manner. I just can't see that. I can't see that.
I agree.
Now, you guys, closing statements. We all saw the preview for next week's episode. What are we most looking forward to? So let's start with you this time, Adam, then Lailah, then Tisa.
Hi, guys. This is the first time I get to go first, and normally I'm like ladies first, so this is really exciting. This is a moment. Thank you. No, but all kidding aside, I've had 6 shots of espresso, no food, so I'm very highly energetic.
I love espresso, Adam.
I love my espresso, but I'm excited for next week, and it's so crappy to say this, but as a fan of reality TV, we watch for like the Girardi scandal or the Jen Shaw legal indictment fraud charges or the fights, and it's so bad that we watch for this. If you think about it, like, who are we? What kind of quarter we have? But that's what I want to see. I want to see what took us to this altercation. Now, obviously, I can assume it was the fact that you said Denis, his SLUTSs, and his mom, they need to go. And I'm sure that caused up the reaction. But I want to see what the real reaction looked like. Not just like the edited, okay, here's the preview. And of course, that's going to trump everything else.
Nice.
I didn't mean to use the Lord Voldemort word. Sorry. Sorry.
I'm looking forward to the fight too. I'll admit it that I want to see the fight. And I think with Bravo, like they said when on RHOP, when Monique and Candace got into it, like they try not to do too much editing because they want people to see what actually happened. So I'm hoping it's the same in this case where they cut the music, they cut the jump shots and just let it play out. Like, let us see exactly what happened and why. I'm looking forward to that.
Tisa.
I mean, honestly, of course I'm looking forward to the fight because I'm looking forward to the aftermath. I already got to you on what happened in the fight. I think it's disgusting. Again, because I'm like, at the end of the day, it is reality TV, but this is your family. You just can't do this like that. And it's kind of disappointing that to get the show on what happened was a fight. And after I saw the way Porsha was producing scenes, I'm 100% certain that she egged on that fight. That said, I'm looking forward to the aftermath. I'm looking forward to see with Lottie and Lauren. And that's what's interesting to me. Like, what's going to happen to these interpersonal relationships? Lines are drawn. What's happening? And I really now want to get to, I know Porsha said they're filming scenes. It's going to be like, we'll see how many more episodes that adds onto it. But I'm actually interested. I want to get to now what's going on with Denis and Porsha. So I'm going to be paying attention to see in that aftermath, what, if anything, he could have thrown at her and what she needed to go back and kind of clarify on. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Yeah.
I'm with you guys. I want to see what was going on there. Will we see the girl? We saw her name, Emily or something. Like we
Erica.
saw Ariel. What?
Erica.
Thanks, God. We saw Erica like from Bird's Eye View, but like, will we see her interacting with Denis? Will someone else kind of come along? Like, I kind of want to see that play out as well eventually, but we'll see. You guys,
I want to see her reaction in real time when she finds out that she's referred to as the work.
That would be interesting, right?
And the S word. I need her Instagram. Like, I need to follow this girl. I need to know who she is so I can follow and see what's going on. I need her reactions.
Tisa's like, I'm on it. Don't worry. Give me like 15 minutes after this. I'll find out who she is.
Yeah, but you know what? Grace.
Yeah, what her connection is with production. I'll find out who she slept with. Has she ever been pregnant? Where she went to high school? Just give me a second.
Listen, You laugh, but Grace and Lailah, they be low-key doing a Dateline investigation by lines. I learned that from watching you guys. So please, I already know that Lailah and Grace are like, we probably already got the tea. We just holding on to it. So let's see.
I know, you three ladies, you scare me in a great way. Like Dana Wilkie from Beverly Hills, she also scares me with this, like, she has such good investigator like traits in her where if she wants to know something, she's going to exhaust all avenues in order to figure it out, and then she spills the tea. And I feel like all three of you do that amazingly, so I love watching because of that. Sorry, just a fan moment.
Yeah, I wish I could say I dedicated so much time, but Lailah, Grace, you're right. In reality TV, everybody just makes it so easy. You don't even have to read. You're just like, oh, look at this, and this doesn't match. Okay, so that happened. It literally is. It is not Sherlock Holmes. It's just like, okay, sure, guys, sure. But let's hear for the OG investigators, Lailah and Grace. You guys do it so well. When the video drops, you're just like, what? Okay.
Likewise, it's a race to the finish line, you guys. You know, let's collaborate on this. We'll find her, you guys. So whose channel are we going to be on next week, by the way? I always forget. Are we starting from the top? It's Tisa then, right? Yeah, it's Tisa.
Wait, I was gonna ask you guys, do we have Porsha's Family Matters next week? Because we don't have Salt Lake City. They moved it to January 2nd.
For holidays.
Yeah. So I don't know if we have Porsha.
No week off. Huh.
I don't know why they would put on a new episode of Porsha and not a new episode of Salt Lake.
Right. So it's probably not coming on. Yeah.
So if it is, it'll be on my channel. If not, I'll see you guys after the New Year's to see what happens. And hopefully, who knows, maybe it will actually get to 8 episodes. You never know. So I don't know. Do you guys think it's going to get to 8 episodes or no?
Yeah.
I think so. It's juicy so far. We're getting there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is episode 4 already. I could see where we could squeeze out 4 more episodes. Yeah. I mean, if they capped it off of next week's episode, could you imagine 5 episodes and it's like Porsha and Mama Gina like ripping each other's hair out? No, that would not be. We can't end on that note. So no, I think that 8 episodes for sure.
Yeah. What about a reunion? Do you guys see a reunion happening for this?
Oh, I would love that. I would love that. Porsha would probably get up and walk off. I would love that. It's like you would have to address the elephant in the room. I know Andy Cohen is very skillful about like weaving around the elephant to, you know, get us going. But I just don't see how a reunion could happen without being like, but you said this about Denis. And it would really be Porsha and Denis going at it and Mama Gina. I don't know. It would be a good reunion. But do you think they'll give us a reunion? Has that ever happened for a spinoff?
I don't think so. I don't think it has. So. And you know, Andy Cohen recently said Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. Obviously, it didn't get a reunion on Peacock, but he said it didn't. He didn't feel like it needed one. Mind you, they only filmed for a week in Turks and Caicos. But I feel like if they give this a reunion, it's because they're pushing it more and more. Like, get excited. This is the conflict. We still have some things to resolve next season or next special on Porsha's Family Matters. Boom.
I love that. Keep an eye out, you guys, okay? But in the meantime, links to all of their channels, Tisa Tells, Lailah Lynn TV, Up and Adam, and his espresso in the links down below. Shan and Van as well, okay, you guys? So please also follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of that stuff, Facebook, just to make sure you know, because we might not get an episode next week. And so Tisa will keep you guys in the loop because we're supposed to be on her channel next, okay? But again, you guys, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much, Adam, Lailah, and Tisa for being here as well. It's been fun as always. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks for having